This video is brought to you by StoneAgeGamer.com. It's where I go for my gaming accessories, systems, and more. So be sure to check out StoneAgeGamer.com, link in description. Hey guys, how's it going? This is John with Gamester81.com. This episode will be part 2 over my review over the GP2X Zero handheld system. Part 1, I'll put a link here. I did an unboxing, also did an overview of the system itself. In this video, I'm going to show you some gameplay, show you the different programs, the games that are actually built into the system as well. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share my final thoughts and opinions about the GCW Zero handheld. Let me know what you guys think, and without any further ado, let's check out some gameplay. We're going to power this thing on. One thing I like, it's pretty quick boot up, as you can see, and you have applications, emulators, games, and settings. You navigate through here pushing left and right bumper buttons. So let me show you some of the games that are included. A lot of these are just kind of remakes, hacks, but there's some original ones. Here's a cool one, Free Doom. It's just the volume. You push up here. The right, you have to kind of slide the thing up and push right and down. You can decrease the volume. But there's no indicator showing you how loud or max it is. So that's kind of loud as it gets. This is a Doom clone. You know, see, it runs pretty smooth. Gotta love Doom. Let's quit this. Classic. You got Ghouls and Ghosts on here. King of Fighters. Metro Cross. Let's see. Super Tux. This is cool. UMG. This is kind of a Game Boy. A new Game Boy game that I think one of the guys who actually worked on this unit actually created. Unnamed monkey game. You don't see many homebrews for Game Boy. This game's a lot louder than the other game, Doom. You have a Zelda. This is Zelda clone. Or hack, rather. They take Link to the Past, and I think they hack it and make a new game out of it. You see the display is really nice. All right, let's next up. Now with the Wi-Fi, as I mentioned before, you can actually use a Wi-Fi to connect to the computer and transfer files over. You can also put files on your micro SD card, which is nice. But also there's some games that you can play online multiplayer. So a game like Doom, for example, that you can play multiplayer on, which is sweet. So there's just a bunch of games here that are included, which is kind of a nice feature. Here's Open Sonic. This is kind of an interesting Sonic game. It's almost like Sonic 3D, but it's pretty fun actually. This is actually, no, this is a different Sonic game. I'm thinking of a different one. Let me show you the one I was thinking of. This is the one I was thinking of. There's a couple Sonic hacks. See, isn't this weird? Oh, ran into the guy. Controller strange. Oh, before I do that, let me show you some settings. So this is how you connect to your Wi-Fi. This does support pretty much every movie file and every audio file you can pretty much think of. This is how you can power off right here. You can reboot. There's also a button on the bottom here, kind of an emergency reboot, that if you can push in if everything freezes up. I have not had this freeze up on me yet. All right, so let me show you, these are applications, different ones, usage your manager, file manager, media. Okay, you can do clock. These are the emulators, and again, I really like the way this is set up. Unlike the Pandora, it was kind of not very user-friendly. I like the way that they did this. So you have Atari 5200 emulator, Atari 2600 emulator, Atari 800 and to 5200 emulator. These are the Atari 8-bit computer emulator, basically. You also have DOSBox. This is the Coleco emulator. This is kind of an arcade machine emulator. NES Famicom emulator, Lynx, Super Nintendo. This is your Mega Drive, Genesis. This is Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Sega Master System, Game Gear. This is a point-and-click one. You have Vectrex. This is PCE, or this Turbografx-16. This is a Atari 2600 emulator as well. Neo Geo, MAME, and this is a MSX emulator. The last one is a Zero x86. I'm not sure, that must be the system. But anyway, let's check out a few of these. We'll start with the Atari 2600. Load ROM. So this is Pac-Man. It's not a very good port of Pac-Man. In fact, this is probably one of the worst ports of Pac-Man. They rushed this to the market and it didn't do very well. Miss Pac-Man on the Atari 2600 is much better. Look at the ghosts, how they're kind of ghosting. That was not intentional that they did that. Okay, let's go back. Let me show you a Coleco emulator here. We'll do my own game here. I came out with my own ColecoVision game. I have everything set up with different files. So I have everything set up with different system files. So I know exactly what I need. Now the audio on this and the colors are a little bit off on the Coleco. I mean, it still runs pretty well, but yeah, it's a little off. There I am playing the game. It's cool. Now I get to play my own game on the go. This is the first stage. Object is to jump over barrels, avoid stuff dropping on me. But yeah, the red color and the brown color, a little bit off. The original game, like Donkey Kong, is not the same color as those beams. But it runs smoothly enough. Here's DOSBox. Great game here. I love this game. This is X-Wing for a PC. One of my favorite Star Wars games of all time. I love this series. So, see it's just the volume. You can exit DOS. Now this isn't a touchscreen, so unfortunately I can't touch anything right here. But you must register. You guys played this before? If not, I definitely recommend it. And you know what? It runs great on this. And the music's great and all that. So anyway, let me oh, this is a keypad. You can actually do that too. Now we're going to check out the NES/Famicom emulator. This game's actually a really rare game for the system, Little Samson. Highly in demand. A really fun platforming game though. And I've noticed that this emulator actually runs really well on the GCW Zero. If you like games like Mega Man and other ones, it's definitely one to check out. But it does cause rubbing. I've noticed that, pushing right and down, it does cause some rubbing, and it can affect some gameplay. Here's a Game Boy emulator. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Fall of the Foot Clan by Konami. And again, this runs really well. No issues with this particular emulator at all. You can also set it so it's not full screen. You can do like a smaller screen, but I prefer doing large screen. I'm going to show you the Pico Emulator, which is a Genesis/Mega Drive emulator. Now, supposedly this will run also 32X games as well as Sega CD games. I'll show you how it runs 32X games. It's not ideal. In fact, it's very slow and the music's really choppy. And so it doesn't really make the games really playable, to be honest with you. In the Sega CD games, I could not get to boot. So I'm sure they're going to patch this and work on it. I just wanted to kind of show you, look how slow it is. This is still booting up the Sega screen. One thing that's cool though is if you want to exit out of your emulator, you just push up on the slide bar and push select and it'll get you to the main menu, which is nice. Okay, so here's this, let's go back to the Pico, let's load some games. You push left down, left, you can push left or right to kind of scroll faster. And this emulator actually works really good as well. Another Konami game. Do you guys remember this cartoon show? Here's the Super Nintendo emulator. Super off-road, great arcade port. It's a great game. And the red car. Game Boy Advance emulator right here. And it runs really well. This is Golden Sun, probably one of the better games on the system. Here's a Sega Master System / Game Gear emulator. This is Aladdin. Different than the Aladdin for the Genesis, actually. A lot more difficult. I love this. I love the movie back in the day for sure. You guys get the idea? Here is the Turbografx-16 emulator. One thing I noticed about this emulator, if you push the right button by mistake, which is easy to do, it goes back to the main menu. This is Box 3. And honestly, I didn't really notice anything wrong with this emulator. I think it emulates pretty well. Okay, the last emulator I'm going to show you is a Vectrex. You should play it like this. Let's do Berserk. This is a vector graphic style game. You actually play it vertically like this. Berserk is actually an arcade game. That's kind of a cool emulator to have, though. Vectrex is one of my favorite systems, definitely, and kind of an overlooked system. And if you actually wanted a Vectrex actual console, they're actually pretty expensive. So it's nice to have this on the go, for sure. now I'm going to share with you guys my final thoughts and conclusion. Overall, I actually really like the GCW Zero. I did a review over the Pandora a while ago, which is a similar unit, which actually is 4 times the cost, at closer to $600. And for the most part, the GCW can do what the Pandora can do. This has got a little bit more features. It's got 2 SD card slots. It's got touchscreen, which GCW does not have. But for me, I can't justify the over $300 or more price tag buying a Pandora over the GCW Zero. So you can get this at a website called thinkgeek.com. I will put a link below. I do like the fact that it's lightweight. The battery life is good. I think for the most part, it can emulate ROMs pretty well. It's not great with 32X ROMs. And as of doing this video, there's currently no emulators available for the N64, the Intellivision, the Virtual Boy, PlayStation 1, among others. However, I'm sure they will address that and add those later on. The things I don't like about it, I'm not a big fan of the directional pad, D-pad. It kind of rubs. You know, you can actually, I don't know how well you can hear it, but it rubs pretty bad. I like the analog stick, although this thing actually turns and I don't know, it kind of throws you off a little bit. Not a big deal. But overall, I'm a big fan of this handheld. I really recommend it, guys. I think you guys should check it out. And I know emulators are kind of controversial in the community because people say, well, it's cheating, it's emulators, whatever. But for me, it's all about convenience. I have these games anyway, for the most part, and for me, just taking it on the go in your pocket, I think is a great thing. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys subscribing. I'll put a link to ThinkGeek below, as well as a link to my website, Gamester81.com, where I have other news and reviews. And if you guys want to stay in touch, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Happy gaming.